welcome back. So we heard you like raccoons, and well, even if you don't, we're going to tell you about our little fluffy raccoon friend anyway. Last time we spoke about our little trash bandit, he was prepping for a world brimming with new art and an update to the game's underlying design. But before we can tell you all those juicy details, if you're new here, or if you haven't pre-ordered Power for the Dungeon yet, that was our last game. You should take out your phone right now, search for Power for the Dungeon, and pre-order it. Don't worry, we'll wait. Okay, with that out of the way, let's talk about the game plan. First, we need to fly in trash from out of country so we can bait out all of the raccoons here in Toronto out of hiding. Then when they all come out, we can study them to understand their deepest desires, like which trash is the tastiest. Then we can assimilate into the raccoon society so we can truly embrace what it means to be a raccoon. I'm just kidding. We're just gonna make a game.
So the trees started out like little blobby kind of shapes, and they've gone over a lot of transformation in the past little while. We've had spiky trees, we've had trees with spiky leaf cards and blobby shapes. We've had trees that were mostly just flat plains that were spiky also, and then we've eventually settled on kind of a softer tree with flowing leaves that like follow the form of the tree to break up the silhouette. This is what they look like in game. We also had a lot of texture work to do on the trees too. You spend a lot of time on the ground because you're a really tiny raccoon. So we added a lot of detail into the tree trunks and on the actual bodies of the tree themselves. So there's like a nice gradient, and then we have a mix of drawn on leaves and leaf cards to add like detail. How we do the trees is to make them match the 2D style, we have to have really kind of solid meshes. So a lot of games make trees with a bunch of leaf textures all like mashed together so it makes it look like fluffy. But we have solid mounds. I have to sculpt the trees, and then I have to retopo the trees to have really clean topology to make sure that the shadows work nice in Unity because they don't like to often play nice. So I have to make the topology flow nice, and I also have to make sure the normals are like hard in certain areas where they need to be to catch like a hard edge of a shadow. So it's a very tedious process, but it gets a really cool result at the end of it. So we spent a lot of time trying to get like the right amount of clutter on the terrain too. So we use a mix of hand-drawn details and placed 2D cards to like look like pebbles and grass and dirt specks and things. The end result, it all comes together nicely to make an interesting environment for our tiny little raccoon to scurry through.
Hi everyone, welcome to You, I, and UI. Today, I'm going to be telling you guys a little bit about the UI I've been working on. The last time I was able to check in, we didn't have very much of anything. It was pretty bare bones, just a couple like directional things, maybe like an icon here to tell you that you need to unlock something, but there's so much more that goes into a game like this than just those small elements. So one thing that I've really been working on, creating UI that's stylish, but still functional. It's really hard to kind of hit that sweet spot. If your UI is just functional at the end of the day, it's not going to blend very well with your world. Whereas if it's too stylish, it might end up being distracting. Players won't know what's going on. So figuring out how to make stylish UI that still informs people. I ended up making a mini map, other little like inventory icons. I ended up making a mock-up for the inventory itself. And then the most fun bit that I've been working on has been UI for garbage truck raids. So these are really cool. These are like player interaction hubs where you have to cooperate with fellow players to accomplish a goal, which would be to get as much garbage out of the garbage truck as possible. It's score-based. You can throw garbage out onto the ground for your fellow raccoons to scoop up. So showing that to players was really important here, and just kind of communicating, here's what you have to do, and here's how you get it done. There's lots that still needs to be done, of course, especially when it comes to a game like this where you are cooperating with lots of other players. But figuring out the direction that we want to start going in is really, really helpful. And I hope that it helps to inform the team of the level of style that we're hoping to achieve with the UI.
So a lot have changed since we developed our prototype over a year ago. It looks entirely different now. I started off by restructuring, remodeling the wall modules to make it easier to slap together new buildings and new scenes. This not only speeds up the world building process, but also lets us reuse stuff. When it comes to the rest of the environment, we really cranked up the detail on all the assets and the walls. Our main character is a tiny animal, so we wanted to make sure every nook and cranny is packed with life. We've added baked lighting for everything to look a little better. For the layout of the laneway, we've made it user-friendly with a color-coordinated scheme. Warm tones for the industrial zone and cool tones for the residential zone. The real fun part for me was crafting houses from those modular and decor kits, bringing childhood dreams of playing Sims for work into reality. Being based in Toronto, inspiration is everywhere. Seriously, people in the city get creative with their homes in the weirdest and coolest ways. It's like a treasure trove of ideas I get to bring into our game. Given my background in architecture, it's almost hardwired in me to think about the lives of the virtual Toronto residents. I've been pondering on the intricacies of how they would navigate the laneway, for example, where they would park their cars, how would they coexist with their neighbors, how they would hang out on their patios. It's about infusing a touch of reality into the game, making sure the virtual Toronto feels just as vibrant and lived in as the real deal. Simply put, our game brings the lively spirit of Toronto into the virtual realm, making it a fun and immersive experience for players exploring the charming, intricately designed streets.
As you can see, the art team has been working hard to address the issues Shay highlighted in the past devlog. We've begun heavily reworking some of those core issues, and as a result, Jess has created entirely new foliage, Caitlin is planning ahead for systems down the road and how they will be visually supported with user interfaces, and Camilla has both reworked and broadened the art kit we used previously to bring that Toronto flair to life. This area we've been working on is what we call the laneway, and it was the perfect testing ground for creating a sizable play space for players to explore. But as the design team has been continuing development on both the gameplay loop and level design metrics, it is becoming more apparent that we will need to increase the size of the level to accommodate the updated designs. Stay tuned, as next week we will take a look at what the design team has been up to, and here's a little sneak peek of something Zach has been cooking up. Also, don't forget, Par for the Dungeon will officially be live globally this coming Tuesday, November 21st. We can't wait for everyone to get their hands on the game finally. Also, a small note, but the game will only be available in English at launch. We do hope to bring the game to more languages in the future, but at the time being, it's just going to be English. With that being said, we hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, we'll catch you in the next one.